Hello everyone, welcome back to the Football Uncensored podcast with me, Rob Kirton and John Sitton. Going to pick up with a bit of the weekend's Premier League review. Try and touch on some of the teams we haven't really spoke about so far, but inevitably we'll cross over into teams that we have. So, John, what was your standout on match of the day? Any team leap out at you for good or bad reasons,
Yeah,
or individuals?
I'll be honest. I only see the highlights, and it looks like all the top teams tended to make hard work of it. But inevitably, rather than leave it too late, with the exception um, of Spurs, after a bit of time waste and whatnot, um, they basically they got what they deserve when they played to their full capabilities. I'm thinking in terms of the likes of Liverpool. I thought Arsenal made hard work of it. Um, City had to sort of put the afterburner on to pull away, get the 3 goals. Yeah. So I mean, it was a bit of a mixed bag up until the weekend. I mean, it's a shame. I thought West Ham were doing very well. I thought out of the first couple of weeks of the season, they probably got performance of the week for me for at least 2 out of the 3 weeks, the opening 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And then they started really well again. I just think that extra bit of class told, and maybe a bit of decision making when it was still 1-0 to West Ham. If they get the second, it might have been a different outcome. But I just think like the mix up for one of the goals, and then a little bit of extra class that they had, put paid to it.
Yeah,
So
like you say, City turned on the afterburners a bit. You did a little brief analogy of a few teams there.
yeah,
They've obviously got the luxury is a bit of an unfair comment. They seem to have the ability to go through the gears when they want to, if that makes sense. Rather than some teams try to go through the gears and they get a little bit stuck. With City just
yeah.
seem to be able to.
Well, someone allegedly at that level, it won't need to be told by me. What he's got to do is get back to the habit that they have, which is getting the game won. You look at a lot of their when they've had successful runs and a really long run of good results and good performances. Subconsciously, I mean, they probably don't know it, but subconsciously, it's been instilled in them by the manager and the mindset of starting fast, playing at your optimum level, and then inevitably they probably got the game won inside an hour in most fixtures. Whereas on Saturday it was the other way around. Yeah. I just thought like probably the goalkeeper for one of the goals could have been a bit bolder with his starting position. I don't know what the centre back was thinking now. I did say that even though he was tried and trusted a little bit, there's a reason why there's a couple of others let him go. I don't quite fancy him, as in Chelsea, and I think Everton was the other one, wasn't it? But he's done all right, Zuma at West Ham. I'm not sure about the geezer next to him. He sort of blows hot and cold. The other couple, the Kufal, however you say it, and Suchek, just inside him and just in front of him. Very workmanlike, very good professionals. Very much, I would think, in the Moyes mould. Yeah. Other than that, I think they've covered the loss of Declan Rice very well. And again, it's the sum of the parts. Yeah, I think they've had a fantastic start. Just a shame that they make the European champions and Premier League champions so early.
Yeah,
But
another
yeah,
goal for my ex-Southampton skipper as well. He's had a good Ward-Prowse. He's had a good start to the season for West Ham, and like you say, he's part of that. He's part of that Royce replacement that they
yeah,
seem to have
yeah,
melded together reasonably well, reasonably
yeah,
quickly.
yeah. He seems to come across though really good professional. Apart from being a good player, a really good professional and a decent human being. Do you know what I mean? He approaches it right, plays the game well, how it should be played. Um, Thoroughly decent, honest competitor, and a fantastic player. You look at the goal. You look at his dead ball deliveries, along with his general range of passing. Yeah, I think he's been a fantastic, part of a group that's replaced Rice and one or two others who have been allowed to leave. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it'd be a good year for him again. And like they had the thing, the 7th thing the year before last, and last year they had the European success, not so thing, and made hard work of it in the league. This year they've got to a cracking start in the league, and up until thing they was up joint top when they had a good record. They got a couple of cracking results along the way, but I just think they come up against someone Saturday. Just there's a reason why they're Premier League and European champions.
Yeah, levels. I think you've mentioned before. Uses a word is levels, and City. This isn't a revolutionary view or comment. City or obviously the team to beat for the title race, and so
No, I said it. Look, Rob, I've said it in my
news.
book. Really and truly, it's not bionuclear physics. You know what I mean? It's like generally, as a general rule of thumb, the team with the best players generally they're the team that win. You can upset the apple cart. You can have a surprise. You can have a shock. Used to back in the day because like the team with the better players, a few of those better players might have gone out on the drink and got in at an ungodly hour. They might have be playing with injuries, etc. But with squads now, the general rule of thumb is they're by and large there's the occasional thing where you can set up tactically to upset the opposition. You might nick a draw. You might you can make them appear to give a disjointed performance with your game plan, but by and large it's not the case. And it's like I said, it's a bit oversimplistic, but the ones with the teams with the best players, they tend to win. You know what I mean? And it just so happens they've got one of the best, assumed, alleged better coaches. Do you know what I mean? So they should win far more than they lose. You know what I mean? I'm looking now. I'm quite alarmed now at the rest of London after things. I don't want Arsenal to fall away, and I'm looking at the start Spurs have had. My main concern now is Chelsea. They've got off this bit of an horror show really to start.
I've not seen much of the day two yet. So obviously Chelsea played yesterday away to Bournemouth 0-0. In case anyone didn't know, and Arsenal scrapped. I think by the sounds of it, a 1-0 at Everton. So I might not be missing an awful lot, but picking your point there, the London teams, Chelsea. Yeah, no two ways about it at the moment for whatever reasons, and they seem various. Struggling.
I'll stick to what I said. I'll stick to what I said in the summer. They need another forward or maybe even two, Arsenal, if they're going to compete. I think he's literally holding Jesus back because they've it actually starts this week. They've got bigger fish to fry. They've got to compete now on 4 fronts rather than just the 3. They've got the Champions League, they've got the Premier League, they've got the FA Cup, the League Cup. Probably in that order, and I happen to believe they've got not an abundance of riches like others. There's quite a few clubs who are struggling really for a focal point, someone up front. I'd put Man United in the same bracket. Man City in the past have tended to be able to deal with it, coupled with the fact that I thought they were far too overindulgent. I don't think they moved the ball quickly enough. And there's actually a session you can do where you place the priority on a forward pass, put the priority on a forward pass. You could do a session where you put the priority on a forward pass. I thought Arsenal should have looked forward far more than they did. That should have been their first mindset. And Everton got wide into them for a little while because that's basically all they had to offer. And then they never. And Arsenal played round them a little bit.
Yeah,
but I just thought that. But then that can be born of the fact that they're being cautious because they haven't what I said in the first place. So a manager and his players have to find a way of compensating for the fact they haven't really got a focal point and haven't really got an out and out top drawer goal scorer like they even in their most recent history they have. You're thinking like your Bergkamps, your Henrys, your Ian Wright. Back in the day, they had a focal point and a guaranteed goal scorer. 2 chances, convert 1.
Yeah.
5 chances, 3-0. 4 chances, 2-0 or 2-1.
I think one of the things you mentioned there is key. It is European week, first rounds this week, and obviously Arsenal back in the Champions League. They're obviously going to want to make a bit of a statement. So he's understandably going to be probably prioritising that game over away at Everton at the weekend. Handily for them, they got a win.
Slightly arrogant as well, but it's a but belief is, so you know what, if we can beat Everton, and I can be cautious, and I can leave Jesus to come fresh in the week, a fresh pair of legs, and I can get away with playing X, Y, and Z, not being disparaging, but not quite in that bracket. We can nick a 1-0, then that's good enough. And he's done it. He's got away with it. And what he said was, after the game, he felt more like, yeah, we've won because this is how we play. Not we've won out of, and I'm relieved. I know this is what we can do, and I know this is the way we can play. Although I happen to believe they had a couple of lucky escapes, and there was a couple of good saves. There was a couple of instances where Everton could have capitalised, and they never, because they've got their own struggles and their own problems. And also happen to believe there's a lot to put right with regards to being a bit more direct in terms of their decision making. I
That's
could get
Arsenal.
well, yeah, you can be guilty of overplaying. You know what I mean? When you come up, the elite Europeans, they'll let you pass sideways all night long. You know what I mean? So that decision's going to have to come sooner or later. It will have to come. It's got to come. They're going to have to make that decision, and it depends whether you're any good at it. So we'll see.
Just jumping around a little bit, a couple of things to try and pick up there. Obviously, you spoke rather, about Everton in the previous episode, and we touched on them in one of the earlier ones about when we talked about possible relegation candidates, and you mentioned in the previous episode that they are not looking good at all, and you mentioned the focal point, one or two other reasons, and I think they're massively struggling. I think they could go down personally.
If they get out of it, it'll be the manager that gets them out of it. I'm telling you now, because he's had a career where he's had to cut his cloth accordingly at Burnley, and he'll know the prerequisites for scrapping and battling to get that the actual quality is not there. And then you got the off the field goings on, and you've got other bits and pieces, rumblings and all that, and they haven't been particularly astute in the transfer market in the last 3, 4, 5 windows. They've wasted a lot of money, and he's inherited it. But I happen to think enough of him whereby, and I don't know the guy. I've never met him, don't know him personally. I only know how he comes across and how I would buy into it as a player. And I just think it'd be if they get out, I think it'd be the manager. I think they might just have enough. I think Sheffield United might just have enough. Although they showed capabilities with regards to nicking a draw against Chelsea, I happen to think the ones who could be struggling, particularly at the back and in midfield, and then you look at some of the they seem to score some of the hard ones and miss the easy ones up front. Bournemouth could be down there, and the other two would be, like I said before, Luton bottom and Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, well, Luton, I think got beat at Fulham at the weekend, didn't they? Is it 1-0 away at Fulham?
Yeah.
So yeah, another.
They gave. I mean, to be fair, they gave a good account of themselves, Rob. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, going by the highlights, but then he's hit the nail on the head, and it's been known for 3 decades. Dyche hit the nail on the head. He said, like, you could talk about this and that, and who does what, and who's got who in the middle part. But he said it's what happens in the 2 penalty areas. Well, we've always said that. It's been said since I was a player. And unfortunately for Luton, they failed to convert their chances, and that could be the difference. If you're not picking up results where you might just put a little ring round you, and then give yourself little like points totals let's say every a monthly points total, which should be your aim. Sometimes you're ahead of schedule, sometimes you fall behind and you need a win. You don't transmit that or think to the players, although they probably already know. They might have earmarked to Fulham, whereby they might go one nick a point. And then if they win it, it's an unbelievable bonus. But they never. They went away and got beat because they failed to convert their chances. Yeah.
One team who isn't having any particular problem converting their chances at the moment, although they still concede in each game, but doesn't seem to be bothering them too much at the moment, is Brighton. Obviously winning at United at the weekend 3-1, and as I understand it, that wasn't a fluke by any sense of the imagination. Sounds quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is a tremendous news if you're a Brighton fan.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that was a great result for. That was a great result for Maguire and a great result for Sancho. That's got him right out of jail. And the managers end up taking the flak, even though the manager's doing the right thing by the club. He's doing the right thing professionally. And again, a much lower level, but I can relate 100%. Right? He's come in and he's inherited a circus. He's inherited, to quote him, slight paraphrase, the culture's not what it should be or not what they wanted it to be. So I've been brought in to change the culture, right? Well, that was my plan, my remit. And then what happens is inevitably you're going to have to make unpopular decisions. You're going to ruffle a few feathers and upset a few people, and that's what he done. And then just timing, the worst timing ever after the goings on that week, and how he's had to address the media. And now one player's said that I've been made a scapegoat. When, if the truth be told, never an £80 million player in a million years. You know what I mean? In terms of, and the Germans must be laughing all the way to the building society. But the bottom line is, I think he's underachieved, and if that's the case, whereby he don't train properly, then it's up to the manager to pull him on it. But in terms of the timing of the result, it couldn't have come at a worst possible time for the manager.
Yeah, Ten Hag's been a bit. I've managed to read a little bit today and over the weekend. He's been criticised in certain quarters for again, nicking your phrase, paraphrasing a bit, hanging Sancho out to dry.
Right.
Which I don't buy into personally, because in this day and age, with all the many social media channels, there's no way, even if Ten Hag says buttons it up and tries to keep it in the dressing room, there's no way that's not going to get out, is there? It's going to, and it's. Do you think he's trying to get it out in his way, or do you think he was out of order?
No, I just think he got asked a question, and he strikes me as being very unemotional and very forensic. And probably someone asked him why he weren't included in the squad, in a match day squad, or whatever went on. He just said, well, he went out with the way he trained. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not verbatim word for word, but he's more or less said, and I'll come across that. And I just thought, no, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. And everything I said 30 years ago, it's all coming to the fore now. Training with intensity, playing with intensity, training how you play. So it doesn't come as a shock to your system. Rehearsing it. You won't go out and do Macbeth unrehearsed. You understand? So it's the same. It's art. It's a play. It's theatre. But you've got to know what your lines are. You've got even top players, which I'll nick that off of thing. And then I've got a sarcastic remark from one of my players. We were talking to Sean Brooks about George Graham, and he was saying that even top players need structure. And he said to me, Brooksy, and I thought, what are you trying to imply? He went, yeah, but George, he said, coming from him, he said he's a winner. So I left it a few seconds and I said, yeah, but so are his players. You understand what I mean? So I thought, if you're going to have half a pop at me, I'll have a pop back. You know what I mean? You saucy little fucker. But after I got him off the dole. But anyway, that's the bottom line is, I think he's trying to do things appropriately there. He's trying to do things correctly, and so they should. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world, the highest salaries in the world, the biggest wage bill in the world, the biggest public concern in terms of shares and whatnot in the world. So he's got to be sent to do the right thing and have it right. I don't know. Maybe I should have been. I opened my mouth at the wrong time, without a shadow of a doubt. When I look back on my career, Chelsea in particular, Orient as a player in particular, Orient as a manager in particular. When I look back at my Chelsea days, I just think to myself, you know what? Why didn't I just keep my mouth shut, go home, and get some rest, and then come back and say, right, and have a right go. And I never had a right go. It's almost if I just said, you know what, different stuff coming from different places, different thing involved in me, affecting me mentally. Instead of shutting it out, I let it affect me. But then I matured. And then, funny enough, Millwall helped me mature. The Millwall manager helped me mature, and the supporters helped me mature. Even when I got a bit of flack for a couple of bad games, I'm like, oh no.
Nature or nurture, I suppose. That debate,
Yeah. Just
to a
like,
degree.
you'll see. And you shut it out. So the point I'm making is sometimes what a player should do is just say, okay, I'm going to take that. Boom. My pride's hurt. My ego's dented. But I'm going to put myself back in a position where that ego and that pride are warranted. I'm going to show. So what you do, you knuckle down, you train, you rest, you train, you rest, you train, you get picked, you play unbelievable, you get play again, you get on a run, you get consistent, because it's all about, in the end, it's about consistency of performance. And it's funny, I heard someone say it's about someone else the other day, and I'm thinking, fuck me, I must have been. Where does that leave me? It was going on about someone who was a manager's dream. I was a manager's dream at 3 out of my 4 clubs. Now all of a sudden they're getting credit for that as well. You know what I mean? Where you train, you go home. Oh, that was it. I watched that again, class of '92. So you train, you go home, you rest, you be with your family, you come back, you play well. You have a day off, you come back, you train again, you get picked for the next game, you play well again. So you're consistent, you keep stum, you stick to specifics, you stick to the game plan, you stick to your orders, you stick to the drills. Yeah, manager's dream. You know what I mean?
We'll see with Sancho, won't we? I mean, it's pretty much all on him now to respond, isn't it? And how he responds will probably give you the answer about what kind of a player or a person he is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they bought a few high price flops, I think, and a few wrong uns. And then what happens is when a young fella gets bought, I think was it 100 million euros, 80 million euros, or about 80 million pound, give or take. Look around, you see how certain others have carried on and acting, and I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but when you see reports coming out about others, he probably hasn't been set the best example. You know what I mean? And yet in Germany, funnily enough, they don't seem to suffer it, or it doesn't seem to happen. I don't know why. But it seemed to get the best out of him over there. Who knows?
Yeah, well, Dortmund have got reasonable track record, haven't we? That's where Bellingham was, wasn't it? After he left England, he was at Dortmund.
Birmingham to Dortmund, yeah.
He's done okay. I mean, just briefly sticking with United before we move on. Ten Hag, obviously, second season now. He took over last season. There's the ongoing seemingly circus of the Glazers. They've spent a load of money, wasted some of it, as I think we both would agree.
Yep.
They've had he inherited, probably, or at face value, a bit of a cultural mess.
Yep.
Have they bought the right? He's had the issue with Greenwood.
Yep.
There was, of course, the Ronaldo thing.
Before that, yeah, Ronaldo. Yep.
Now Maguire. Now you've got Sancho and the Brazilian lad, Anthony.
Yeah, there's a difference. Where you see, if you read about him after the England game and they interviewed him, Maguire, and he just said, "Well, I'm just going to fight for my place." I think that, it was disputed that he wouldn't leave United for West Ham over contract obligations or money, which is fair enough. West Ham they've got their own wage limit, and the two weren't compatible. So he's probably looking for money at the front end rather than the back end, as in United pay up part of his contract for him to leave and get him out the door. And he said, "No, well, if it ain't happening, it ain't happening. I'm going to stay and fight for my place." And that's how it should be. That's the perfect attitude. I'm convinced, looking at the United centre back pairing, either Shaw will end up there.
I'm just looking now. They played Lindelof and Martinez played at the weekend.
That's who it was. That's who it was at the weekend. Yeah, and you're talking like, all right, okay, it happens at vast pace, massive pace now, but fundamental errors, borderline schoolboy errors. You know what I mean? Things like picking off across the front, buying dummies, getting caught under the ball, not marking on the outside to be first onto the ball in the channel, not getting in the line of the ball, so getting rolled. You know what I mean? Stuff you coach kids. What's that about? Yeah.
I mean, are they levels better than Maguire? I don't think so personally.
No, and it depends, Rob. It depends what route you want to go. I mean, you've got an out and out defender, out and out centre back who's not bad at bringing the ball out. Then you've got others who, one of them might be a little bit better at bringing the ball out, but in no way, shape, or form is he an out and out defender. You'd love to play against him and batter him every week. You know what I mean? And then the other one's caught between the two stools. So I don't know. You know, I mean, I can see if they don't remedy it and he don't get back in or play his way back in, they might have to resort to what they did before, which is I think they brought him in and played with a free Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
To leave one of them spare. You know, so anyway, I should have their problems.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. I know which one I'd rather.
That's right. Like to be a tenner behind some of them, wouldn't
you? Yeah, I'd rather have the defender who can play a bit than the bloke who thinks he can pass but struggles when the opposition's coming at him. I'd rather have the defender personally, but I'm a bit of a traditionalist.
Yeah.
A team. Let's talk Chelsea brief. I know we did touch on a tad. Obviously, blank again.
Yeah.
Team selection. They're not in Europe, so we can't accuse Pochettino of having one eye on the Champions League like Arteta maybe.
Yeah.
So Chilwell had a decent start to the season. It came on, I think, about 85 minutes at the weekend, and he played one of the centre halves at fullback, I think. Again, I'm not sure, but kept a clean sheet. So you know, who's to say it wasn't the right thing to do defensively, but just struggling hugely, John, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's like I said. I think they placed overemphasis on certain areas. They never addressed other areas. It was too easy to get people off the wage bill who come through the system at the club, rather than turn players over who they'd bought for big money and needed to sell for big money, which wasn't going to happen. Once the contracts are locked in, you're bang in trouble. You know what I mean? And I think that seems to be the case. I think he only had his pants pulled down to the tune of 400 odd million. And I think Pochettino, you can actually, even at this early stage last night, I think you could see the stress on his face and that puffiness. You know what I mean? I had it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You think you're probably overdosing and compensating yourself by eating crap, and your hours are not great. You know what I mean? I'm not going to change my opinion. I think it's going to be I said it. I think it might have been in another podcast. It might have been in our first one. Top six, if they'd be doing really well if they finish top six.
Yeah, you said that a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, and I'll be looking at it now. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if that's the case now.
One team who did get back on track after a couple of defeats was Newcastle. They managed to do Brentford 1-0 at home, and obviously they are another team who have got an eye on the Champions League during the week.
Yeah.
I don't know I think he played Wilson for the whole 90 minutes, rested the other centre forward, Isak, whatever you pronounce it. So that's obviously same vein as Arteta did for Jesus, perhaps, but back on track for Newcastle.
Yeah.
1-0 defeat. I did see over the last couple of weeks some frankly ridiculous fan chat about, is Howe struggling after 3 defeats in 4 games? And it's like, well, not for me, wasn't, and not for me. Well, if you
listen, I've only seen they doing the documentary an episode at a time. I'm right up to date. The thing about this massive financial boost is a myth, because it's like, to quote the people on the documentary, there's a budget, there's a limit to what they'll spend. They're trying to keep it cost effective. There's other clubs, I don't think it's the case here, but I think there's other clubs where, is being used, that club, that Premier League club, maybe even as low down as I was, were actually used to pull money out of the club. They're used as a franchise. They're used to cash an annual dividend. I don't think that's the case at Newcastle. But then, having said that, they've actually said, paraphrasing again, but they've said there's a certain amount they won't go over. They've only got a certain budget, right? Well, if that's the case, then they've got to give the manager time to affect the education, the organisation, and the mindset of the players, because I still think they're a long way off. I think they're probably quickly going through my head. I think they're about 5 players away.
Yeah,
maybe 4. Maybe 4. Might get away with 4.
Yeah. For me, they've got some squad depth, but it's got maybe not the quality of depth that others have got. It's all well and good having the numbers, but if those backup numbers can't come in and perform to the level that you need, I guess it's not a lot good to you, apart from rest and recuperation for your superstars.
Yeah. It's up to him how he handles the budget. As a former chairman I knew, he said you can have quality or quantity. You can't have both, especially at this level. I think that probably at some clubs it goes all the way up to the highest level. You know what I mean? I happen to think they need someone to compete and or play alongside Bruno. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Gordon. I like Gordon. Actually, the thing is this a joke? We actually said on the last podcast, I said he's got to come inside a lot more and play in that middle third a lot more long ways, that central tranche. That's what he did the other day. And they the wide left was left to Harvey Barnes. He actually sort of played in and around the front man a lot more, which is what I said he should be looking to do. And I think it would help his game. Trippier, tried and trusted, tried and tested, good pro, decent human being, goalkeeper the same. Centre backs, it maybe do with a centre back, maybe do with another full back, another central midfield player. So where are we now? That's 3. Maybe another top class striker, 4. I think they're all right in the wide areas. You know what I mean? But if they're going to, I mean, they're unbelievably. I think it's them. They're in an unbelievably tough group. I don't think they'll make it out of the group, unfortunately.
No, I think it's
pleasantly, very pleasantly surprised if they do.
Yeah, I think they've got Milan this week, if I'm right, and the other 2 teams could. So I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. PSG and our friends Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Not
the
easiest.
Ask. Yeah, when the draw came out, I thought, all due respect, they're done. That's them done. Do you know what I mean? You don't know the ground, the home thing, like this what we used to call St James's Park when I played up there. It was frightening even then. 38,000 lunatics, unbelievable noise. I'm talking passionate, really, for the whole 90 minutes. Crazy.
They're ridiculous, John. Whenever I've watched, whenever Newcastle come down to Southampton, I've gone to that game.
Yeah.
It's non-stop. It's from before the first whistle's gone to after the final whistle. They literally do not draw breath.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Tremendous.
Should be. Makes you run the yard faster, that's for sure.
Not
that I was ever guilty of that, but yeah. It's
we're in the last few minutes of this session. We've got about 5 minutes to go. So let's touch on Spurs a little bit. They left it very, very late. I think they'd had about 500 shots by the time they stuck 2 in, but they got another win. Poor old Sheffield United came desperately close, like they did against City a couple of weeks ago, to pulling off a result and snatching a draw. Maybe even could have even been a win. But Spurs a decent start, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd got a result there, Sheffield, that would have been an unbelievable bonus, because inevitably what happens is you end up looking at the teams that quite possibly will be the teams around you, which is where you're going to take points from. Then the next level up may be nicking the odd result, or 4 or 3 or 2. That middle one, then the top one, massive bonus if you do, like I said. So normally you've got 3 divisions within a division. All you've got to do is concentrate on being the top of the group that you're going to be involved with. I thought a lot of it was their own undoing, Sheffield. I thought they competed really well, very disciplined, and it got ragged. And credit to Spurs, they turned the screw. They put the ball in the right areas. They committed men forward. That's what I liked about them. I wouldn't be sure of the formations, but when you're a coach looking at it, right, I wouldn't be sure of who he committed to where. But it's like I was talking earlier on, like the Ukraine in the last one, and we got cut off before we thanked people and said goodbye. The way you play against a Christmas tree is an upside down Christmas tree, if that makes sense. So if someone's lined up with you 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've got to turn it upside down. Have the one spare player at the back, but you've got to commit bodies forward. You've got to play an upside down Christmas tree. So you put the opposition on the back foot and you give them questions to answer and problems to deal with. And then that will be straight away, that will be alien to them because they think they've got that safety net, that insurance, and all of a sudden it will put them on the back foot. And I thought Spurs did that very well, not with that formation specifically or anything like that. But I'm just saying the mindset was there, and it seems to stem from the manager and greatly encouraged by the crowd. This is what they used to, a massive amount of open and attacking football. Even back in my day, they were revered for it. Yeah. And the teams that I used to watch, they were revered for it. Then you had this sort of bit of a hiatus with two managers, Conte and Mourinho, they've had their success a different way. It was against the grain. It rubbed against the thing. It's strange, but this guy seems like a good appointment, and he seems a bit matter of fact and relaxed about it all, and it seems to have created a good sort of enjoyable environment to play in and training.
Quite a transformation from the back end, obviously from the back end of last season for Spurs. I like the guy. He's come. I think you nailed it there. Relaxed and matter of fact at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, time still very, very early. Time will be the judge, but the way it's shaping up at the moment, the usual suspects. One might come from somewhere. Like if they get back into winning ways, West Ham, they might come from somewhere like they did 2 seasons ago when they finished 7th. It was up there, and then bump, and then up again, and 7th. The way it panned out, got the European football, won that. But I'm looking at it, I'm thinking usual suspects. I just think he's got to be given more credit, the guy at the Arsenal, because I think there's a few things at the back that he's preparing for, and which he should do. As a manager, you're looking down the road. There's a long time to come. And it's a long road with no turns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're about coming to the end now, John. So we will say thanks to everyone for listening to this one, watching this one, and the previous. Please keep doing so. Send John questions, retweets, likes, etc., all that. So thank you very much from me personally. Yeah, thanks, Rob, for posing the questions. I had no idea what they was going to be. Hopefully I answered them well. Thanks to the people that can be bothered to watch. Please watch, like, subscribe, pass the word on. And hopefully we're up to speed, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Cheers, John. Cheers, mate. Good night.